What's up, guys? Derek is back again with another Line 6 Pod HD500 video. Going through the different amp models here today, and the next runner-up is the Fender Deluxe Reverb, and it's just the same amp as the last video, but we're plugging to the Vibrato channel. So, again, I don't know much about the real amplifier, but if memory serves, with the Vibrato, in the Vibrato channel, you actually have an extra 12x7 tube, so usually that means a little bit more gain on tap and a little different sound. So anyway, I want to tell you about my setup here. I'm playing my Line 6 Variax 300 guitar, running through the VDI connector into the pod. The pod's running straight into my interface and straight to your ears, so no fancy editing, and you'll be able to tell by the poor quality of my videos that I don't do much editing, so you don't have to worry about me messing around with the sound to enhance it or anything. It just sounds this good out of the box. So anyway, let's look at some of the general settings I have. I use on every amp the 2x12 ported or PhD ported cabinet. It's the Dr. Z, and I really like how it sounds. With a 57 on axis, the ER or the room parameter is all the way down. On the amp parameters, all I change is I turn the hum all the way down, and in the cab parameters, I turn the thump all the way up. So with that in mind, I'm on the Strat model of the Variax. Let's hear how that sounds. Let's bring that up just a little bit using the controller. Just a little trick, and I've showed this in a couple more videos, but rather than having to use a volume pedal to take up an effects block in your signal chain, you can use the controller section. So if you go to the controller menu, select whatever amp model you're using. In this case, I'm using the Blackface Lux Vibrato. Select channel volume and assign it to expression pedal 1 or 2. I have it assigned to expression 1. Set a minimum and a maximum, and there's a volume pedal for you. So you can use it just like you would a regular volume pedal. And you can assign any parameter to that. So let's hear what it sounds like with the Strat model. Nice, very good sounding amp. Sets with the gain at 50. Let's crank it up to 70 and see what kind of gain we can get out of it. And this being a Fender Deluxe, it's great for like country and blues licks. So and let's crank that drive up and see how much distortion we can get out of this thing. The Fender Deluxe, especially this particular amp model, is definitely one of my favorite. It is my favorite Fender model in the pod. It just sounds great. But the Fender Deluxe, though it's not a metal monster or a real big rock and roll thing, definitely has a lot more gain than, say, a Fender Twin would. And it stays pretty clear even with the gain on 100. I'm going to take it back to 50 and see where that puts us, see if I want a little bit more of that. I'm going to put it right in between 50 and 70, so I'm going to put it at about 60. So I got a little bit of grind, a little bit of clean, and right there I'm going to listen to the different guitar models, and let's just see what we can get. So starting with the bridge pickup of the Strat. And here's the 2 position. All right, now let's hear that with the Taylor. All right, now let's hear that with the Les Paul. Alright, so that's a pretty cool tone. Let's mess around with some of these amp parameters. The master volume, or the master control, works just like a master volume on an amplifier. The lower the parameter is, obviously the quieter the sound is, but also you get a little bit less distortion. So here it is at 50. It's not just a volume control, it actually contributes to some of that tube sound. So it's just like if you were to crank up an old tube amp, you're going to get a little bit more tube saturation from the power section. So here's what that sounds like at 50. All right, let's hear that master volume at 60. So on the original Blackface, excuse me, the original Blackface Deluxe, there is no master volume. So theoretically speaking, the master and the drive basically control the same thing. So let's just hear it sounds like a 60. So this is pretty much what a Blackface Deluxe would sound like on 6. let's just hear it at full blast. That's definitely my favorite setting for it. Let's mess with the sag control. So you've been hearing it at 50%, and it sounds like this. Here it is at 0%. What's cool about the sag control is it's kind of different between a vintage amp and a modern amp. Most vintage amps are known for their sag. You might hear that term a lot. It's almost, basically, if you don't know what that is, it's like a compression in the sound. It's almost like it makes the amp feel more squishy, if that makes sense. So when you have the sag all the way down like it is now, it's like on a modern amp, it's very immediate and very punchy. You can hear that. The sag is more about feel than it is sound, but it's like, it's crazy because it's like as soon as it hit the note, boom, it's popping out of the speakers. Whereas an old vintage amp, it kind of gives a little bit, you know. So let's hear the difference between 0 and 100%. So you can kind of hear a little bit of difference there. You can definitely feel a big difference. So I'm going to put it at about 30 and hear how that sounds for me. I like it right about there. I'll let you hear what the hum control does. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's a really low-pitched humming sound. I don't know why you would want that, but in case you do, there it is. Let's mess with these bias and bias excursion controls. So I'm going to play the same riff I did earlier, and here's the bias at 50. Let me clean that up a little bit. And the bias all the way down. Kind of cleans up the sound a little bit. Let's hear it at 100. Let's hear it one more time at 50. I'm going to keep the bias at 0. I kind of like how it sounds. Bias excursion. Here it is at 50%. Here it is at 0. And here it is at 100. Bring it down just a little bit, maybe around 73. All right. Very cool. Let's hear the low cut. I want to go to my Les Paul sound here. Sometimes if you got a guitar that's either tuned down or that is extended range or just exceptionally bassy, this low cut can really come in handy. Now usually you would set the low cut before you EQ the amp, but I just want to give you an idea of how that sounds. So if I play a little lick here, let me see. Turn that low cut up just a little bit. So it kind of cleans up the sound a little bit if you don't want that, which I usually, that's a little too bassy for me. I like it to be, you know, a little, I like to have some low end, but if you're going to use humbucker guitars quite a bit, that might be something useful to have. The res level, I'm not really going to go into what it does, let's just hear it. So here it is at 50. By the way, in case you can't see, we're messing with the cabinet parameters right now. Let's hear the resonance level at 0. And hear it at 100. This might get loud. Told you, it gets really loud. So I'm going to keep it at 50. Alright, sounds pretty good. The thump control. This is what gives you that bottom end. Notice I have the bass off on this. I could pull it up a little bit and I like that low end to be nice and punchy, and sometimes when you have the bass up too high. That's alright right there. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. As I've said in earlier videos, I don't mind low end. It's low end distortion that I don't always like. I like the bottom end to be nice and clean and punchy. So sometimes you can turn down the bass on the amplifier and turn up the bass of like a post EQ or something like this. But the cabinet, the great thing about the pod is in the cabinet parameters you can turn up the thump and give you just a little bit more low end. So this is with the thump on 100. Here's the thump at 50% or thereabout. And the thump at 0. Alrighty. Back at 100. Which is where I like it. The decay knob, I'm having trouble hearing a lot of what it does, so I'm not going to mess with it in this video. You can download this patch. I have the patch, or the link to all my patches in the info box, and feel free to download them and tweak them to your guitar and find out what sounds good to you. You don't have to use my settings. In fact, I don't want you to. You need to sound like you, and the best way to do that is to, you know, maybe start with a clean palette, or to start with something that someone else already started, like these patches, and tweak them to match what you like. So anyway, let's mess with some distortions and overdrives now. So first thing I'm going to do is the boost comp, and I use this to kind of add a second channel to the amplifier. It doesn't really sound like an overdrive pedal. It sounds like I'm just boosting the amp. So here it is without. Here it is with it. It's not really adding that much gain, so what I'm going to do is bring the treble down just a little bit and crank up the drive a little bit more. Turn that bass. I don't need the treble that low. I'm going to turn the bass down a little bit. So I like using the boost comp just to give me a little extra hair out of the amp. Let's hear some different overdrive pedals now. So this is the tube driver. Give that just a little bit more gain. Nice creamy sound, and let's hear it with the tube screamer. Might bring that drive down just a little bit and crank up the output. Pretty cool, and let's hear it with the classic distortion. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm just going to go through a few of them. Turn down the drive and turn the output level up and the filter up. Pretty nice sound. Just a little bit more gain. All right. So that's the Fender Deluxe Reverb in the Vibrato channel on the Line 6 Pod HD500. You can download this patch and more on the link in the info box. So feel free to take this and tweak it to match your guitar, and I really hope you enjoy this patch. And this is Derek Hagwood signing off. Thanks for watching, and God bless.